Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We've got transfer portal going on before the college football playoffs. We got people committing all over, transferring out. We are here to do the Big Fuss Show and the SEC domination of college basketball.
Can I please have your attention?
It's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College Sportscast. This is the Big Fuss Show, Week 17, Season 3. I've got John Hammonds on here with me. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man? What's happening?
It is a crazy, crazy time, actually, in college football right now. We will get to some of that, but man, there sure is a lot going on, and quite honestly, some things that need fixed, to be honest. And we'll kind of get to that, but a lot of stuff going on in college basketball as well. SEC seems to be head and shoulders above everybody else, but we will dig into that just a little bit further here in just a little bit. We're going to start out. If you are following us on Facebook, we appreciate you. John, we crossed over 3,700 last night on Facebook. So I want to point that out. We appreciate you guys. We are growing tremendously on Facebook. We have grown 700 or 800 followers in the last week, roundabout, something like that on Facebook. So we appreciate you guys. You can help support us by sending us stars, or you can subscribe to our page for 99 cents a month. This will get you your own subscribers page, and you can post in that. You can comment with us and that kind of stuff. So it will help us earn a little bit of money here to continue to make more content for you guys. And if you're
the reason I kind of am looking off UConn Xavier's got the ball down too with a chance to win it. So it's a really good game right now.
Yeah. All right. So just quickly, we are on WSBN TV channel 30. We are also on the Real Fresh channel, and we are happy to be a part of Stadium Rant. And soon we might have some updates on our show here about being featured by Stadium Rant and stuff like that. So we're excited. We're growing, and we appreciate you guys. All right, John, we're going to start off with some hot topics. I've got it scrolling on the bottom down there. Some news on college football, college basketball, and women's college basketball fronts. Mateer, I think is how you say his name. He committed and is 100% committed to Oklahoma. He was the number one guy in the portal as of now. Quarterback from Washington State. That they got the offensive coordinator. He went as offensive coordinator to Oklahoma, and I think that's a big reason why they signed him. Don't you think?
Yeah,
so?
yeah. And two, Oklahoma needed to add some changes on the offensive side of the ball. They just did not have the great year that they thought they would have. Jackson Arnold went to Auburn, the quarterback that had played the majority of the year for them. He went to Auburn. They got the offensive coordinator from Washington State. John Mateer might be, to me, the number one quarterback in the portal, probably next to Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy is from Duke. I know he visited Kentucky this past week. He's probably looking for a big deal, NIL deal. Not sure where he's going to go yet. But Mateer is for me, he's head and shoulders probably the number one quarterback in the portal.
Yeah, and speaking of Alabama, I know you was talking about Murphy. He visited Alabama, but in the news, and this is the second time actually, the Alabama AD is what world are we living in when Alabama is apparently falling behind in the NIL? And the AD is coming out today and urging Alabama fans to fight back. That was his words in the NIL frame. Um, what world are we living in where Alabama is struggling in NIL in
Well,
football?
in not even Alabama, you got. Here's my whole ordeal about the transfer portal and the NIL thing. You know, you got guys that are at certain schools, and then you got guys going back to their original schools and taking visits. Like I think Silver from Kentucky is going back to North Carolina to take a visit. I read yesterday. There was, I think it was a couple weeks ago, there was a player that it said agreed to a deal to come back to school.
That was South Carolina. That was Stewart.
It's sounding like college. It's sort of like the NFL, Brad, with the free agency. Like all you need is a salary cap at this point.
Except it's every year. I mean, we're going to talk about some changes. I'm just trying to get through some news stuff, but we are definitely going to talk about some changes that needs happening.
Here's the thing about Alabama. If you're Alabama, I don't think you should need to get out and communicate with the fans and the whoever you're trying to get to notice, because Alabama is a brand name. Alabama is a big school. Saban has been there. They've won national championships in the last.
That's twice now that the AD has come out and just in the last week or so and is talking about the NIL and talking about Alabama. Today he's talking about them falling behind and the fans needed to fight back. That was his words.
How are you falling?
I'm just saying.
Here's my thing. How are you falling behind at Alabama?
That's what I want to know. I mean, it's just a strange world we're living in.
That's strange. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Vandy QB Diego Pavia won a court battle where he was granted an injunction to not have to count his JUCO years. So he is now eligible to come back again in 2025.
I'm not just shaking my head at him.
What is going on? And some strange stuff that's going on.
There's 5 or 6 guys that are playing football for 6 or 7 years. This is
8, 7, 8. There's some that's 8, John.
And I always joke with you about it. I think there was a guy, I can't remember, you mentioned it was early in the year. You said, I feel like he's been in there since the Obama administration. Like you was making a joke about it, but that's what it feels like. Like it feels like they've been in college for.
Here's my thing. Is this still college? Are these kids still in school? Are they going to classes? Because how in God's name are you still in classes undergrad, 8 years into playing football? I mean, at some point here, guys, we're still college here. And at some point,
let me raise the question. Let me raise a question to you, Brad. Say the NCAA makes a thing where they have to be employees instead of student athletes. You think that changes things?
I'm hoping. I'll get to that in just a little bit. I'm hoping, to be quite honest with you. Kennard opted out for the Gamecocks today of the bowl game. Defensive lineman that was really good defensive lineman for them. That's another thing that happened today.
Kentucky also lost the offensive tackle Dylan Ray. He played some at tackle. He was another one that entered the portal today. Now, just as we was getting ready to come on, Hardy, the transfer from Louisiana Monroe, he committed to Missouri. Now that's 2 players Kentucky have been after that have went to Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz is dunking on Mark Stoops right now. That should not be happening, if we're being honest, but it is. But
all right. Auburn's Janai Broom got hurt last night. But we will get into some more topics on basketball and other things as the show goes on. John, I want to talk a little bit about the college football playoffs. They begin 2 nights from now. The college football playoffs do. On Friday night, the very first game will be will be going on for the opening first round here. We got Indiana at Notre Dame. Are you excited for this? I think it's going to be a good matchup.
I think it's great for the state of Indiana. I think it's great for this whole college football playoff because you got 2 Indiana schools kind of battling it out early on. Indiana, if you look at their whole body of work all season long, it's stellar. They went 11-1. They led the nation in number 2 scoring offense. They had the number 6 scoring defense, and they had the best scoring margin in the country. They was beating opponents by average of 28 points. So Indiana's had a fun season. Notre Dame has got a really, really good defense that will test Indiana's offense. So should be a fun game between fans. Especially
then we got 3 games. Then we got 3 games on Saturday to be really excited about. These are on campus. All 4 of these games are on campus for the college football playoffs. It's going to be really exciting. You got a game at Penn State and Happy Valley. You've got a game in Austin at Texas. And you let's see, who's the other game? I'm missing one.
Tennessee
and Ohio State at the shoot. There you go. Yeah. So you've got some really, really big games. But here's what I want to talk about, John. The transfer portal. This college football has to fix itself. I don't even understand. John, I talked about this last year, that this had to be fixed before the bowl games. I don't even understand how they could possibly keep this portal open. I don't know exactly what the answers are. I know why they do it, John. They do it because the next semester starts like January 5th, and these kids, if they're going to go to another school, have to get in before the next semester starts. I get why. It's just not right. There's nothing that says they can't flip this calendar and these kids be able to transfer in the spring instead of in the fall. Something's got to change.
Here's my thing. It seems to me, Brad, that the transfer portal is drawing a line between student athletes and professional players. You look at professional guys, they're able to request trades. They sign with teams in free agency. The portal has made the student athletes feel more like free agents than college athletes. Players all the time leave for different reasons, better opportunities, coaches leave, offensive coordinators leave. I look at an example from, I think, last year, when Nick Saban.
You're right, Mike. Marshall had to opt out of a whole bowl game.
When Nick Saban retired, He had a lot of players leave. They lost a lot of guys. They lost really the top quarterback in their class, Julian Sayin. They lost Caleb Downs to Ohio State. So this is just not beating up on the top teams. This is hurting other colleges such as Marshall.
Yeah, but guys, what I'm talking about is the calendar. Why on earth do we have what is essentially free agency opening up before the playoffs?
But
what
Brad,
sport has something as asinine as that?
But here's the problem you have, Brad. Regardless if they left it closed, some of them are going to opt out anyways.
That's probably true. But I can tell you right now, the logistics of it, the logistics of what they are allowing in college football is absolutely ludicrous. It's asinine. The calendar itself is insanity. It really is.
It is.
Name another sport. Name any sport ever in the history of sports where they can opt out and leave a team or program before bowls and playoffs, before the playoffs.
Here's my biggest thing
ever
with the whole transfer portal. It's become a business, really, Brad. The whole point. I look at it from a youth sports perspective. You have loyalty to your teammates. You get chemistry with them. They've turned that into a business. NIL, name, image, likeness, have allowed college players to make money off their name. No one has an issue with the athletes making money. The problem you got is how they're chasing the money. They've begun to transfer the school.
Well, there's just got to be rules in place, and I'm not so sure that there's anybody that can make any rules and make any rules stick.
Well, here's another.
Aren't going to uphold them.
And you hurt the smaller schools, Brad, because you put the smaller schools at a disadvantage where they're going to have lesser money. So you take a school like Kentucky that's trying to get into the portal and get guys up against a team like Alabama or Georgia. Where are they going to go probably 95% of the time? They're probably going to go to Georgia. But now there's going to be some times where they're going to go to Kentucky if they're offered a little bit of playing time, but they're going to have to up the price to get them to come there. I think the money chasing is what's the big deal, and the no loyalty to me is the biggest deal too. Instead of going to a football team, waiting a year or two, getting drafted, these kids I think are trying to have a professional career because they won't remain patient and they won't stick to the process. And to me, that's a problem in college athletics. And
let me tell you guys let me tell you guys my plan to help fix all this crap. Okay. Now, here's what I want to do. The bowls to me are almost useless. I do like the bowl system. I always have. It's been and I don't want to see it go completely away. Okay. But there's a few things I want to talk about. Bowls. I think we should create with the new 12-team playoff, either 12 or 14, no more than that, not ever. I don't want to see 4 lost teams get in the playoffs. I just don't. I don't even want to see 4 3-loss teams get in the playoffs, to be honest with you. I think it should be the top tier 1, 2-loss, 0-loss teams. Maybe 1 3-loss team gets in because they win their conference like Clemson did. Anyway, after that, the bowls, they're kind of old. They're washed. Nobody cares anymore. How about let's create a 24-team bowl invitational tournament, kind of like the NIT. in college football, in college basketball. And then you can play those bowls in those 2014 bowl invitational tournament, and you can have a bowl champion. Play them out just like you would a tournament and have a bowl champion. I think that's much better for college football. You could have a national champion and a bowl champion. And I think that is absolutely fantastic for college football. Here's a couple other things, John. Make them employees and sign 2-year contracts with these NIL deals.
Here,
if you make them employees and make them sign 2-year deals, they can't go nowhere. They have to show some kind of loyalty. The difference between college football right now and the NFL is NFL, they sign contracts.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying that they sign 5-year deals or something, because these are college kids and they may want to transfer. I get that. But there is nothing wrong with making these kids sign 2-year deals.
Well, here's the thing, Brad.
Nothing wrong
in the NFL, you got rules and restrictions, right? There's basically no restrictions in college athletics. A player can leave at any time. For me, sometimes that can be a good thing or a bad thing for a kid maybe that's 18, 17, that's a young guy coming into college. I think on the opposite side of it, it's hurting the high school kids too, recruiting, because you're choosing certain transfers over freshmen. And it knocks them out of a chance.
Well, of course, when you've got kids that are 25 years old and playing their 7th and 8th year, of course they're going to get knocked. The high school kids are going to get knocked out.
Well,
I mean, that's common sense.
Another thing that's really got me is like a lot of fans are losing interest in the game because, you got all these revolving doors of the portal, and it's sort of like the same old dance, the same old song type thing. To me, we need to save this game before it goes off the rails, because if it don't, college football is going to be a thing of the past. It's just going to be more or less like pro football. You're seeing coaches, older coaches such as Nick Saban. You're seeing, guys.
I would love to say that's possible, Josh, but it's not.
Get out of the game because they just can't deal with it anymore. And to me, that's a problem that needs to be fixed. I don't know how to fix it.
Well, you have to fix the calendar too.
Yeah, you got.
I don't know if you move college football and you start it 2 or 3 weeks earlier than we've been doing, so you have a little bit more time. If you start it in the middle of August instead of the first week in September or whatever, if you move it a couple of weeks ahead, that way you have a little more time. You have to fix the calendar so that the playoffs are completed before the transfer portal opens.
Well,
you have
Brad,
to fix this calendar.
Here's my thing about the whole portal. You got guys that enter into the portal because, they feel like they're not getting the playing time that they deserve. Sometimes it's an attitude problem. Sometimes it's, choices that they've made. It's always that saying where does the pasture look better on that other side? Does it look greener? And a lot of times it does, and sometimes it don't. Like, for instance, you see hats laying on the table with players going back and forth from hat to hat to announce their college decision. While it may be good for that certain team, imagine being the other teams he rejected. They just got told to screw themselves on national TV. These kids, there's too much hype and hoopla with all this. I miss the days where you sign with a team, you got recruited, you developed your talent, you developed those players that came, and you tried to figure out how to win games. Now it's all about the almighty dollar.
It's not. It's about
all
money.
It's about money. All about social media.
That's what it's about.
All about hype. All about chasing a bag. Where do you change from all this to fix it where there's restrictions and there's rules in place?
The only way is to have more than multiple year contracts, John. That's the only way right now. That's the only way. If you make them have to sign, you can, let's say it's a scale, okay? Kind of like the rookie deals in the NBA, all right? Where if you do a 1 year, you can only make this much money. If you do a 2 year, you can make a little bit more money. If you do a 3 year, you can do a max deal. All right? Well, all you have to do is make a scale with a contract that is signed. If they want the max deal, guess what? They have to sign a 3-year deal with that school with that NIL deal. They can't skip out on it.
What I was trying to say about
they're not in the portal for 3 years.
What I was saying about the whole hats and social media and all that, it's become like a race to see who's better than the other, who can chase it. When I was growing up with college football, you never heard of press conferences much or people bringing hats to it. I mean, you heard it maybe in a big time recruit like a Tim Couch or, Peyton Manning, but it was never that high up in hype and level that it is today. And, high school recruiting in that regard can be as bad as trying to fix the whole college football deal, because you got some kids coming into school that are 5-star kids that think they're good. And now some of them can be good. Some of them can be really good. They're stars. But then you have some duds. And, at the end of the day, from high school to college to the professional, we've lost the way some way or another. And that's just
Josh. The only way that you can do what you're saying here is if you just don't open the portal at all for the January semesters, because the national championship game's not till January 20th. A lot of these schools start semesters January the 5th or the 6th. The reason why the portal has to be open is because if they're going to transfer to a new school, they have to get in classes.
Wyman,
you can't do it after.
Wyman, you bring
That's
up
why
a good
I'm
point.
saying. Wait a second. That's why I'm saying that you have to move the time frame. You have to move the season up. You have to finish football before January 1st, before December 25th, really, to give these kids time, at least by January 1st. Either that or you just don't open the portal and make them do it after the spring semester.
Wyman brings up a good point. He says, I think we should let them go to other teams each week, put some kids on the waiver wire and go all in. Now, everybody probably thinks that's funny, but that actually happens in MLB. Teams put them on the waiver wire and they pick them up the following week. Is that going to happen in college football? They do an NFL.
Jerry, I've been saying contracts signed 2 and maybe even a 3-year deal, a max deal contract. The longer you sign, the more money you can make. I've been saying that for 2 years now, and I don't know why more people don't talk about it. It's the only thing that makes sense.
I mean, that's a good point, Wyman, because, they do that in the MLB. If a team releases a guy, they have a certain amount of time to put him on a waiver, and then they do it in the NFL. If a guy gets released, he gets picked up the next week by another team. Like, is college football really going to get to that point to where if a guy gets kicked off the team, he's going to be playing for another team the week after that? Like, are we really going to reach that point? Like,
Well,
I mean,
if
we've read a lot of
school's
things.
involved in semesters, that's not really an option.
No,
You can't jump schools and go to classes. You can in between semesters. That's the reason why I was talking about that.
But as crazy as college football is right now, and the way the portal is and the NIL, I wouldn't put it past them to make that a possibility at the end of the day.
All right, we are going to move on. I got other things to talk about. I do want to mention Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. John, did you think Travis Hunter deserved the Heisman, or do you think it was? I'm not real sure. I'll be honest with you. I've been an Ashton Jeanty guy all year long. I think Ashton Jeanty is probably going to break Barry Sanders' record. He's 132 yards away from him. In my opinion, everybody all year long has said, well, Travis Hunter's doing something we've never seen. Well, guess what? Ashton Jeanty has done something we've never seen. He's fixed to break the all-time rushing record. I was a Jeanty fan. Now, here's the deal.
Yeah.
I like Hunter. I like what he's doing. He played both sides of the ball, played almost 1,400 snaps. I mean, it's insane what he's doing. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's probably, as far as athletic, I think he's probably the best player in college football. And maybe that's why he got it. What do you think?
I mean, I figured Travis Hunter would win the Heisman Trophy just because of, the whole idea that he plays offense, he plays defense, all that stuff. But like you said, breaking Barry Sanders' record is a big deal in college football. Ashton Jeanty was all man, all human highlight reel. He done it all this year. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick, top 12.
Woodson didn't do it every snap. Not like what Hunter's doing. Woodson didn't do it some.
He played defense,
he didn't
and
do
offense,
it every snap.
But I don't think he played really every single snap.
He didn't play every snap like Travis Hunter's doing.
But I get where you're going with this, Brad. I mean, I like the idea that Hunter won it. I like what he did with speaking to his dad. I thought that was really awesome. Shows that he's a family guy, talking about his dad during the speech and talking about Dion. I thought that was great. He deserves a lot of credit for what he's done this year. There were some unbelievable plays, some unbelievable catches.
He does have some great catches. I will say that.
He picked off some unbelievable passes. So props to Travis Hunter. But for me, my favorite was Ashton Jeanty. I thought he played just off the wall all season long. When Boise State needed a big moment, he delivered for them. When they needed a big run, he took them down the field and gave them a chance to win. And they almost
Everybody's
beat Oregon.
like, well, he plays in a Group of 5 conference, and no players have won that since Roger Staubach in '63, and nobody's going to let him win it, and all that crap. Okay, well, here's the deal. Yes, he plays in the Mountain West Conference, but he's also going to break Barry Sanders' record. He's also led Boise State to the number 3 seed in the college football playoff. They're 11-1 and made the college football playoff and led them to the 3 seed in the college football playoff. That's unterritory. I mean, there's no territory of that happening before. Okay. So, I mean, Genty done some things. I will give it to Hunter. I think he's very athletic. I think he's athletic wise. I'll be honest with you. I'll be surprised if he's not the top pick in the draft. Travis,
the thing about Genty for me, Brad, is, he was their main guy. Hunter was their main guy, but they had other pieces. You get what I'm saying? Like, they had Shadur Sanders, and then they had Travis Hunter. Genty was their main guy. They was top 10 nationally in points.
I mean, he only carried the ball about 35 times a game, John. That's all.
I mean,
about 35 times.
He was basically a one-man show. And to say Travis was just a one-man show is kind of out there, because he was not, because Shadur had a lot to do with why Travis Hunter was really, really great. Like, you can't get the ball to him unless Shadur on him the ball. And,
right,
or giving him the ball in space. I think, you had 2 guys there that was kind of leading the charge for Colorado. And the opposite side of it with Travis Hunter, he went to Jackson State. He was a 5-star guy. He stunned the college football world when, he didn't go to Florida State. He went to Jackson State to be with Coach Prime. Then he went to Colorado. They had a down year last year. I think a lot of it had to do with the comeback that they did this year. Getting to a bowl
was
game.
A good season for them. It was.
And they got to a bowl game. They changed some things. They got rid of some guys. They moved into the portal and got a lot of great depth and leadership on that offensive line and defensive line. They got help in the secondary to help Travis Hunter and Shadur do what they had to do. I think a lot of it had to do with the way they bounced back, and not just the fact that Travis Hunter had an unbelievable season, but Travis Hunter
But I'm going to tell you guys, it's going to be a shame. My last word on this is this. It's going to be a shame in the future when you look back on this that the all-time rushing leader in college football couldn't win the Heisman. That's all I'm going to say. When it's all said and done. All right, we're going to move on to some basketball. And John, as of last night at midnight, in the month of December, the SEC together as a conference is 50-4 in the month of December. 50 wins versus only 4 losses in the month of December.
Pretty impressive, Brad. The thing that stands out to me, is there's 8 teams in the top 25. Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, A&M, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss, right? 5 of those teams are in the top 10. If there was ever a year for the SEC to boast and cluck, it's this year. It's this season. They jump out of the gate in the Maui. They jump out of the gate in these early tournaments, and they beat some of these heavyweights. It's impressive to me how great the SEC is from top to bottom. And this is not even talking about Oklahoma. This and the teams that you mentioned. We're talking about Vanderbilt. Missouri has gotten better. Georgia's gotten better. Like I said, Missouri. So it's going to be a rough conference. It's going to be a tough conference. The depth of this conference. They went, 14-1 during the ACC challenge, I believe.
Jerry, I love this conference, and it's going to be great, but I'm afraid that we're all going to beat the hell out of each other, to be honest with you. And I'm afraid that we are not going to see 3-1 seeds because we're going to knock each other down a peg or two, to be honest with you, is what I'm afraid is going to happen.
You know,
the
Auburn
SEC is so dominant and that we're just going to beat each other up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at top to bottom, you got Auburn, probably the number one team. The SEC, they've been really, really good. I'm not going to go against anybody ranking Tennessee 1, especially. They beat Illinois Saturday, but Auburn has been historically good this year.
Yeah, but look at Auburn's
no.
wins versus Tennessee's wins.
Well, I get that, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that other teams in front of them got beat, and they slid Tennessee in there.
They
and
did,
already
right?
up.
Last night.
It was already up above. So, you know, and then you got, you know, Kentucky is in there. Florida, they're a top 10 team. You know, the Gators have been just dominant in their placement and how they've started out 11-0
for real, man.
You know, they got a really good star in Walter Clayton Jr. He's averaging 23
North
points
Carolina
a game
last night.
You know, I mean, then you got Kentucky. You know, you got Lamont Butler. I think he's the most important player on this team. Kentucky, to me, plays faster when he's on the court. This is a team that likes to thrive in transition. Butler is great at pitching it above, and he puts a lot of pressure on the defense with his speed. He gets quick buckets out in the lane. You know, and without Butler, Kentucky kind of goes into a stuck mode when he's not in the game. But I think, you know, with him back and hopefully Kerr Krissa gets back, I think you're going to see this team kind of take off, I think, from a guard standpoint. Then you got A&M, Brad. No one, to me, in college basketball has played better right now than the Aggies. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams.
I'm kind of a Buzz Williams fan. I think everybody that's watched me knows I'm kind of a Buzz Williams fan.
Well, I mean, they got Taylor,
tough.
They got Solomon Washington that's really good
on the floor.
You know, Buzz has some guys with athleticism, and they go get it, buddy. They don't stand around. They go after the boards.
They hustle. They play hard.
They play hard. Play really good defense. You know, so well, we haven't even mentioned Arkansas. You know, I mean, everybody don't want to mention Calipari, but I mean, they haven't even scratched the surface as well. So, going to be a rough league this year, Brad.
Deep. You're talking about deep. This conference is basically 16 teams deep. All right. We're looking at possibly 12, 13, 14 teams that could make the NCAA tournament. Okay, John, everybody, I'm going to give you guys a number that when I seen this was just astonishing to me, okay? Everybody's seen the SEC's dominance in the SEC ACC Challenge. The SEC was 14-2 out of the 16 games in that challenge, okay? But I saw something today that was just amazing to me. For the season as of last night, now this is not including tonight's games that's going on. As of last night, for the season, the entire season, November and December, the SEC is 30 wins to only 4 losses to the ACC.
A league that once looked.
Did y'all hear me? 30-4 over the ACC. You talking about dominating? That's an insane number.
I'm going to tell you something that another thing too, Brad, that folks are not going to be ready for. We may be on a historic break or track to break the all-time record for number of teams to be invited to the NCAA tournament. Now, the Big East had 11. The Big East had 11 in 2011. So that was a great year for the Big East. That was when I think that was the UConn team that won it all that year.
30-4, guys. Unbelievable domination.
Well, this is unprecedented numbers. Some teams have not even played resume building chances yet. Like you got Missouri going up against Illinois pretty soon. You got Auburn, Purdue Saturday. Wins in those top games could further their reputation, Brad. This league, man, I'm telling you, there's going to be teams in this league that's going to have a losing record and still be probably SEC champs.
John, I'm predicting right now. Wait a second. I'm going to predict right now that there is going to be a team in the SEC that is – I'm going to predict that there's going to be a team in the SEC that has a 7-11 conference record and can still get in the tournament.
Just for the mere fact that they have some resume wins early in the year.
And look at the conference, guys. There's like 9 or 10 teams that only have one loss.
Mm-hmm.
0 or 1 loss.
Yep.
Okay, if you go into the conference, even if you go 7-11 and you are 12-1, figure it out. That means you're 19-12. You're going to get in. Out of the SEC, you're going to get in.
You are. You're going to.
I'm predicting right now that there will be a 7-11 team out of the SEC make the dance in March.
Did you know that the SEC has never finished a season ranked higher? Did you know, Brad, that the SEC has never finished a season ranked higher than the second best league in the KenPom Power Rankings Conference?
And right now, they're ranked higher than any conference since 2004.
You look at it, Brad. You go back.
It is 16, Mike.
You go back 10 years ago, SEC probably is a 3-bid league. And they're probably
got 3 one time.
And they're probably ranked at the bottom of the Power 5 in their conferences. A lot of that's helped with coaching. A lot of that's helped with the portal. Coaches investing and ADs investing in scheduling. Getting great coaches into the league. You got Bruce Pearl. You got Mark Pope now at Kentucky. You got, Mike White down at Georgia that is doing really good with them. John Calipari at Arkansas. I mean, this league is at a moment in time right now, Brad, that it's the best it's ever been.
All right, Josh. So it's 16, but there are bracketologists right now that have 14 of the 16 teams in the dance,
and it's going to get better as the season goes. Mark my words. And that's not even to mention South Carolina. I didn't even mention South Carolina. South Carolina's in this equation too.
South Carolina beat Clemson last night, something Kentucky couldn't do. They're sitting at 8-3 at the bottom. That's the worst. They're the only team in the SEC that has 3 losses. Everybody else, all other 15 teams have 2 or less losses, are like 9-2, 10-2. Every team in the SEC right now. All right, John, we're going to move on from that. Just had to talk about how dominant the SEC has been, how tough it's going to be. Let's talk about Player of the Year candidates so far. Who do you
Um,
like Player of the Year candidates?
I like Janai Broome from Auburn. I think he's playing at a really high level now. He got injured last night. They did get some good news, I think, today. So hopefully it's just, a minor injury. He might not play against Purdue Saturday. Maybe a precautionary to keep him out. Maybe, who knows? We'll know more in a couple of days. But then you got Cam
his shoulder
Jones.
popped out and put it back in place.
Put it back in, yeah. And Cam Jones from Marquette, playing as good as anybody right now. I love Cam Jones. He's just a winner. I mean, I don't know, like Lamont Butler's having a career year, but I wouldn't say he's maybe player of the year.
Put him in there just yet.
Not just yet, but he's having a really career year right now.
Player of the week. I don't know about player of the year.
But I mean, I don't know, Brad. Like those guys are kind of on my top list.
All right. I mean, it's early. I just wanted to throw this out here. We will revisit this about the middle of January, and we'll kind of revisit these. Coach of the year.
I'd put Mark Pope in there. I mean, I'd put Pope there. Tell you, I put in
Anybody
there.
else that you can think of?
I'll tell you another coach I put in there is Todd Golden from Florida.
Yeah,
I think Todd Golden.
I'm telling you, the Florida team's good.
Bruce
Pearl's got to be in there, as much
Bruce
as
Pearl
Kentucky
probably
fans
in there.
won't admit it.
So I tell you one that deserves it more than most, though. To me,
Wireman, basketball's not as bad as football. Football's got 8-year kids in there. Basketball's not been near as bad as football.
I'll tell you, coach, that I like, Brad. TJ Ossenberger from Iowa State. They're having such a fantastic season. He's another one of those guys. So,
yep.
I agree with that. There's not really.
What about? Let me think about out west. What about Mick Cronin, UCLA? Like he's got them going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean they're having a good year so far. But those are probably my top three right now.
Okay.
So
that's fair. Yeah. Like I said, it's early. It's mid-December. So I thought we'll revisit these about mid-January and then mid-February. And, then we'll kind of get towards the end of the year and talk about them more often. But March Madness title contenders, national championship title contenders. Do you see some right now that you think – I think they'll be there at the end?
That's a good question.
Or do you think it's too early? Or do you think it's too early?
I think it's still too early, but if I had to put it in tiers, I would go probably Auburn. Tennessee's in that tier. Iowa State's in that tier. Alabama is in that tier. I'd even put Kentucky in that tier. Maybe the second tier.
That's totally not true.
Gonzaga may be in that second bunch. Duke would be in that second bunch. Maybe Kansas. I'm going to tell you a team that it's sort of off the radar that nobody is really, 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 really talking about. And they haven't got a lot of respect. And that's Mississippi State. Josh Hubbard, Charles Matthews, Chris Jans at Mississippi State. They don't get a lot of respect. They're always kind of doubted at times, and they proved that last year. They're proving that this year. Now they have struggled in a couple of games, I think, but overall they're playing really, really well going into SEC play. That's another team that's going to be a team to watch in the SEC. Josh Hubbard can put points on the board in a hurry. He's that kind of guard.
Yeah.
Oklahoma,
he's tough.
Good team. Porter Moser is a really good coach. Wyman just said that.
The SEC is going to be a nightmare. I don't think Kentucky fans know exactly just how, like, a 12-6 record in the SEC is going to be very hard to obtain, probably. 13-5 might win the SEC. I think it's going to be that tough of a league. I really do.
I'm going to tell you a team that
title contender.
I'm going to tell you
Auburn's a title contender. I really do.
I do. I think Auburn is. I think Tennessee is. Iowa State is. I think Marquette is. If they stay consistent, there's times where Marquette, they do really, really well, and then they kind of go off a cliff there. They did that one year.
Alabama could be. Alabama is a could be.
One thing I'm going to say, Brad, there's going to be losses. There's going to be upsets in the SEC. Kentucky fans are going to have to figure that out. Not even Kentucky fans. I'm talking Tennessee, Oklahoma, Georgia, all these teams. Every night there's going to be a quad 1 or quad 2 type game. And every night there's going to be a game where a road win is going to feel like 2 wins or a home win.
I'm telling y'all right now,
like 3
most teams in the SEC are going to have 3, 4, 5 road losses. And that's even – I'm talking about the best teams are going to have that.
Auburn's going to have some tough games on the road. Tennessee's going to have some tough games. It's going to be every single night. So,
absolutely. It's going to be an absolute nightmare, to be honest with you, on the road in the SEC this year. Title contenders for me, I really like that Gonzaga team. I was very close to saying that Gonzaga would be there, and then the Kentucky and the UConn game happened. And they were so close, I'm not going to say that they can't, but I was very close to putting them as an actual title contender. And we'll see. But I like the makeup of that Gonzaga team with Nimbran and Hickman and Khalif Battle and EK. I do like the makeup of that team.
Ryan Nembhard for Gonzaga makes that team function. When Nembhard is not on his game, Gonzaga looks like a totally different team. And Graham EK has to be on his game as well.
EK's a hoss.
I
think EK's a hoss.
To me, he's one of the best big men in the country. He is. He had the big game against Kentucky last week. He almost willed them to a win over Kentucky last week, just by himself.
Yeah, I really like that Gonzaga team. Now, everybody here probably know, Kentucky. Let's talk about Kentucky for just a second. I'm not ready to put them on that list yet. I like this Kentucky team. I love what Pope's doing. I love this team. I think they're playing great. I love the way Butler played the other night. I'm just not ready to put them on that list yet. Jackson Robinson's still leaving a little bit on to be desired for me. I think Kobe Brea's leaving a little bit out there to be desired for the most part, most games. I'll be honest with you. I think Andrew Carr is leaving a little bit out there to be desired. I think they can give us a little bit more. I mean, 10 points for Carr, I think he can do better than that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it has to be every single night, but there's two players. Well, right now, 10 games in, 11 games in, and I've been saying this all year long, I think Otega Owe is the best player on this team. I just do. If you ask me who the best player on this team is, I think it's Otega Owe.
But here's the thing, Brad. When Otega Owe has a bad off night, Lamont Butler's going to have to step up when it comes to defense, offense, because the top three guys for me defensively are Otega Owe, Lamont Butler, and Amari Williams. Amari Williams sometimes gets out on the perimeter and he gets kind of loose with the ball. He's going to have to get more physical when the SEC play comes because they're going to push him around quite a bit.
He is.
Tennessee's going to push him around. Auburn's going to push him around. They're going to have to get a little bit more physical against some of those teams. But those are my three guys that are probably the defensive guys that if somebody's having a bad night, one of those guys needs to step up and take control of the game. Now you put
Butler. I love Butler. I love the way he plays. I think he's the straw that stirs the drink on this team. Just to be honest with you, I think he's that important to this team. And I would put right now, if you ask me to put in order who I think the best three players have been on this team, it's Owe, Butler, and Amari Williams. Because of his physicality down low, rebounding, that would be my three.
That's what I just said.
But that's surprising to me because I would have thought that it would be Jackson Robinson and Kobe Brea and Andrew Carr, who averaged like almost 18 and 9 or something last year with Wake Forest. I would have thought those were the players, not Owe, Butler, and Williams. Would you agree with that before the season? Would you have thought that? You're muted, by the way.
I mean, yeah, no. I just didn't know what to expect because we kind of built a roster from in a month, and we really didn't know what to kind of gather. But yeah, some of it I do agree with you, and some of it it's just been, a few of those games Carr kind of took off and made plays. The Duke game, he took over the second half.
And I think he could give us that nearly every night, but he doesn't sometimes.
My problem with Amari Williams is concerning, going into SEC play is he turns the ball over a lot. He turns it over too much, actually. Well, Mike just said that. That's my biggest issue. He mishandles the ball a little bit too frequently. And I think
Carr should be, Mike.
I'm not – to me, Brad, I'm not a big fan.
Carr's had some 10-point games where I thought he should have had 16, 18-point games.
Josh, what he said, what's the latest on Kurt? What I heard today, I think it was somebody on Twitter, X maybe, said that he's going into strength and conditioning. So, not sure where we're at there. But
at best, I think we're still looking 2 or 3 weeks out at best.
Yeah, I mean,
that's at best.
He might be back for February. He might be back for Arkansas possibly February 1st at the latest.
I think
But
we're looking at least 2 or 3 weeks out. It could be 4 weeks out.
Yep. So
I like Garrison, but I don't see Garrison starting in the SEC, Mike. I just don't. I don't think he's going to be strong enough, physical enough. Now, if you would have told me, through some of these games that we played, maybe, but Williams I've stood next to Amari Williams. Dude is a hoss. I mean, he is so built and physical. He's a hoss, man. I'm telling you. I just don't see that through this SEC. This SEC is going to be so physical and so tough.
hey, Brad,
I would be surprised.
quick thing before we kind of get off the podcast. I got one thing I want to say real quick about the women. I got a women player of the year for you because I know you cover women. Hannah Hidalgo. That's what I was getting ready to say, from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Right now, if you want to go through the women part of it right now, mine would be Hannah Hidalgo on the women's side for the player of the year. My coach of the year might be UCLA. They're ranked number 1. They've won some big games. The UCLA
I'm gonna tell you
coach,
what I love. I'm gonna tell you what I love about Hannah Hidalgo. She plays elite defense. We're talking elite.
Man. She's tough. She's tough, man. And she puts up 29 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds.
What gets me is her energy
against UConn.
Her attitude. She leads with a lot of fire in her. She plays hard every single night. That's one girl that's gonna make some money when it comes to the draft.
She's just a sophomore, guys.
She's just a sophomore. Yep.
Yeah. She's gonna be there for a while. I mean,
insane.
You also got Juju Watkins, who's a sophomore, by the way, at USC. You've got Paige Beckers, that's going to be in the Player of the Year candidates. So those are the ones that's probably going to be in the Player of the Year candidates on the women's side.
I like the girl from Iowa State. Is it Crooks?
Yeah, Crooks. Yeah,
I think she's a really good player too.
She is.
She's tough nosed too. There's a lot of great. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, Brad. I know you cover Kentucky women's basketball, but here's the thing about women's basketball that some don't.
It's pretty fun.
It's at the best height it's ever been right now in college basketball.
There is so many great players right now out there all over the place. I mean, you got freshmen in Michigan that's scoring 30 points a game or 30 points in a game. I mean, you go around the country, you've got elite scorers and players all around the country in women's college basketball. And it's not even close. And I had Amelia Hassett on with us last night, and I mean, she's 6'3", guys. All right. She's playing guard at 6'3" on the women's side. All right. And she dropped 22 points and went 5 of 10 from the 3-point line. 10.
Well, I mean, you
at
got
6'3".
You got Madison Connor that plays for TCU. That's really, really good. You got
Haley Van Lith is tearing it up.
Yeah,
Player of the Year candidates. I mean, come on.
You got Juju Watkins, like you said, Hannah Hidalgo. Izzy Higginbottom from Arkansas is really, really good. She's scoring at a high rate.
Yeah, that's a real name.
Camille Pierre from Vanderbilt is playing really, really good
Izzy
right
Higginbottom.
now. Yeah, Izzy Higginbottom. Yeah.
That's a real name, yes.
Crooks is one. Flau'jae Johnson at LSU is playing really, really
Oh,
good.
guys,
He's
I've seen her in person.
Yeah, I mean,
Malaysia Fulwiley at South Carolina is fantastic. I've
you
seen
want to know
her in
somebody that's playing
person.
really good? You want to know a girl that's playing really good that nobody's really is Talasia Cooper from Tennessee. She's playing really good for Tennessee right now. Tennessee is playing at an elite level right now. Coach Caldwell has got a squad over there, and their recruiting class is at a high right now. It's top. So,
all right, title contenders on the women's side, just real quick. I mean, there is a bunch of teams. To be honest.
You got Tennessee. I think Tennessee could be in there. They're still undefeated.
I mean, you got UCLA, you got
UCLA
Texas, you got
there,
USC, South
USC,
Carolina, UConn,
Notre
Dame,
LSU, Texas is there, Maryland is there.
Yep.
Oklahoma is really, really good. Ohio State is actually pretty good this year. Michigan State is undefeated this year.
Michigan State's really good too.
Georgia Tech is undefeated at 11-0 right now. They're actually playing North Carolina right now, I think. Last I looked,
North Carolina.
I think they beat North Carolina. No, they played Rice. They played Rice tonight. That's right. They beat Rice.
Oh.
North Carolina, I was thinking about they played Florida tonight. They beat Florida pretty convincingly. But overall, the women's game right now, Brad, because I know you cover it and that's a big deal to you. It's at a level.
I actually love it. So
it's at a level that I've not seen it in quite some time. There's so many great players out there, so many, shooters.
And Kentucky's 16th, guys. I know we got some Kentucky fans on with us. They're 16th in the country. They're 9-1. He's got a hell of a starting lineup. Now,
Georgia,
what might bite this team is they're not getting much production off the bench. So when you come up against some of these better teams, they need to get some production off the bench down the road in the tournament and that kind of stuff. We'll see if they can continue to build some of that off, But, man, Brooks is starting 5. I put them up against most starting 5s in the country. I think they're that good. The problem is they have to play 40 minutes.
I forgot to name one. Lauren Betts from UCLA. She's playing really, really good right now. So,
now, I'm not taking anything away from Cassidy Rowe. She's playing great. I'm not taking anything away from Lexi Blue and Clara Silva. They've got to put some points on the board and lighten some weight off of the starting 5. They've got to be able to contribute by knocking down some shots on the wing.
I'll tell you.
So
another one that kind of I grasped off the top of my head, Latea Latson from FSU. She's averaging 28 points a game. She's tearing it up for Florida State. I'm
telling you, you look at the scoring on the women's game.
It's pretty impressive.
May be better than the men's game.
You got 2 or 3 girls that are averaging over 20 points a game, like top 5, top 6. I think Juju was in there at 24, maybe.
Juju's like 26, 27 points a game.
Yeah, she's tearing it up for USC. So the women's game's at a really big level right now. It's probably the best it's ever been. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about January coming up. Now, not really excited, Brad, about – I love Christmas, but like you said last night, there's just not a lot of games that's going to be happening here. So if you love Kentucky basketball, you better enjoy Saturday because that's the last game you see for 10 days. You won't be seeing Kentucky basketball
guys,
for about 10 days.
I have something that I am going to do with a final buzzer, okay? And I didn't put the guy's name up because I never, ever mentioned this guy, and I never talk about him because years and years ago, and I mean years ago now, I started telling people just how lost this guy was talking about basketball. Okay? And I'm fixing to go to something. College basketball news. You heard it here first. Okay? Can we finally put to bed that Doug Gottlieb doesn't know shit about basketball? Y'all hear me?
Oh.
Can we finally put this to bed that Doug Gottlieb doesn't know shit about basketball?
I knew this
Because
was coming.
he is
coming.
atrocious. Atrocious.
What got
Absolutely atrocious.
What got me? Mike, you said we've got Brown. Yes, but it's 10 days, like 21st to the 31st. Like it's 10 days. But speaking on Doug,
you guys even know or care who Doug Gottlieb is, but he has been a thorn. I never ever say the guy's name. For the last 12, 15 years, I've called him Gott Dweeb. Okay.
Well, here's the thing: if people don't
John
know who
will
he
tell
is,
you.
if people don't know who he is, he's a college basketball analyst, and he played
at Oklahoma State
for under Eddie Sutton. He played for Eddie
a
Sutton
long time ago, and he became an analysis for ESPN somehow, and he's an asinine. I mean, his takes, he's terrible, and for some reason, Green Bay, the College of Green Bay, decided to give this man the head coaching job last year. All right. Last week, he makes a statement about small schools. He's at Green Bay, by the way, Green Bay College, okay? University. All right. He made a statement about small schools being nothing use. Okay? A couple of nights ago, he got beat by an FCS school, a Division II school.
Actually, it was today.
Was it today?
It was today, Michigan Tech.
I thought it was last night.
It was today.
It might have been today.
It was today. Played Michigan Tech.
He got beat by Michigan Tech, who is a Division II. And not only did he get beat by this team, it is 8 straight losses as the head coach of this team. Can we finally put to bed that this guy don't know jack shit about basketball? He is a lost ball in high weeds.
Oh.
That's my college basketball news for the day. God, I mean, people, how in the hell did he get a head coaching job? That's what I want to know. 8 straight losses, losing to a Division II school. And, oh, by the way, he benched his best player about 4 games in, wasn't even playing because he's going to learn my way to play basketball.
Well, and the thing was, didn't Adam
his way has lost 8 games into a Division II school.
Didn't Adam Scheffler call him out? The NFL guy? Was it the NFL reporter? He called him out about it.
Yes.
Like something he called him out about it. And
about the loss. Goodness. Yeah. God almighty. I mean, if he ever works for anybody else after this for basketball, there is no hope for this world. I'm serious. So if y'all hear me say "got dweeb," y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, y'all.
Oh, goodness.
That's it for me. Y'all have a good night. We're getting close to Christmas. Tomorrow will be our game day pick'em show. We're going to do it on Thursday night at 8:00 tomorrow night, and
Supposed to
then
snow
I got to
Friday,
figure
Brad.
out.
Supposed
Then
to
I got to
snow
figure
Friday,
out what
Brad.
we're going to do next week.
We're giving
Because
snow
next week's
Friday,
Christmas.
brother.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're talking about it. Next
I know
week,
you
I
love-
got to figure
I know
out
you love
when we're going to do our game day pick'em show. May have to do it and record it and let it play.
I know you
next
love
week.
snow.
So,
I know you love snow so much, Brad.
I love it.
Oh goodness.
All right, guys, we will see you later. Y'all have a good night. Join us for Game Day Pick'em tomorrow night. This has been our College Game Day Big Fuss Show, Week 17, Season 3. Have a good one, guys.